Hi everyone and welcome back. So this is part 18 and we'll be implementing forgot password, reset password and protected route functionality in this. Okay. So first of all I would like to ask you all to please make sure to like the video and also leave your comment. Okay. That is going to actually enable this video to reach more viewers. Okay. I'll really appreciate that. So now let's begin with the functionality of the forgot password. Okay, so we are just going to actually implement forgot password, reset password and then protected route. So I'm just also going to create one more handler here. Okay, and let's call it protect. Okay, because this is going to make sure that only users who are logged into our application, okay, they can make requests to our API. Okay, so we'll be protecting our endpoints using this middleware. Right now let's actually start implementing these three. Okay, so first of all we'll be implementing forgot password functionality. Okay, and let me also set the agenda for today. So in this video we'll be implementing these controller functions. Okay, then in the other live stream today, okay, at 9 p.m. we'll be implementing the mailer functionality. Okay, because we need to still enable this send email functionality here. Okay, and after that we'll set up the route and do the testing. Okay, so we'll be done with our auth API completely today. After that we'll be starting with the chat APIs. Okay, that will take another 2 to 3 days. So I hope you are following along with me. Okay, and if you have any doubts then please make sure to join the Discord group. Okay, link is given in the description. Now let's focus on forgot password functionality. So I'm going to implement it step by step. So the first step is to get the user's email. Okay, so I'll write here a comment, get user's email. Okay, so this is going to be provided to us by the user in the request body. Okay, when the user fills the email, okay, in the form, then we'll be sending an API request and that is going to contain the email in the body. So here what we are going to do, we'll actually try to find that user in our database using the email provided by the request. Okay, so here as you can see we are going to make a database query, okay, on this user model. Then we'll be calling this method find one. Okay, because we just want to filter one particular document, okay, based on email. So I'm going to specify the filtering criteria here in these curly brackets. So we are searching through this field email and that value should match whatever is present in the request body email. Okay, now after this step is done we are going to place a check here. Okay, like we did in the last video as well. We are going to make sure that the user is actually found in our database. Okay, so in case there is no user, that means the email that was given to us by the user doesn't even exist in our database. So in that case we are going to basically throw an error. Okay, so we'll be returning, or basically let's actually send a response here. So we'll send a response with status code 400. Okay, and in the JSON body that will be sent back. Okay, we are basically going to write the status as we always do. So this will be error. Okay, and in place of message we are going to say to the user there is no user with given email address. Okay, I hope this is very clear. Okay, now after this check is done we are sure that the email that was given to us by the user is correct. Okay, and we have a user corresponding to that. Now after this the second step is going to be to generate a random reset token. Okay, and let me explain it to you why we are doing this. So this is going to basically contain the information. Okay, this will be basically mapped to the user's document. So when we are going to send an email to the user, okay, that user will get something like this, a link which will be basically pointing the user to our front-end application. Okay, and there will be basically a code here at the end. Okay, some random string will be there, and when the user is going to submit their new password along with confirm password, then we'll be getting this code back. Okay, and this code is what we are calling a reset token. Okay, so when the user will be passing this to us, okay, we'll be then going back into the users model, and then we'll search for a document which has this token, okay, as the reset password token. Then we'll verify if this matches with the one that we created, and in that case, if it matches, then we'll be using the password and the new password that will be provided by the user to update the user's document. Okay, so I hope the process is clear to you. Okay, and now after this, let's actually complete this. So we are going to generate a random reset token. Okay, and in order to create this, we are going to basically make use of a method. Okay, so let me write here reset token. Sorry for the mistake. Okay, spelling mistake. Now we can call create password reset token method. We haven't created it yet, so let's first actually write it here, then we'll create a method on the user's schema. Okay, so now we are going to create a method with this name on user's schema, which is going to basically enable us to create a new reset password token on the fly. Okay, and this is going to be very simple. Okay, so as you can see, we have already created one method in a previous video. The process is going to be similar. So we just need to use the user schema, okay, that we created in the first part, okay, or the second part basically of the backend series. Now here we have to call this methods, okay, and after this the name of the method that we want to create. Then here we have to write a function expression. Okay, so let me also use this function keyword here because we are not making it an arrow function. And the reason for not making this an arrow function is because we want to make use of the this keyword here. Okay, and as you might know, arrow functions don't have this. Okay, so this is just a basic JavaScript concept. If you don't know it yet, okay, you can explore it. There are many blogs and articles online, okay, where you can read more about it. Now here we are going to basically create a reset token, okay, that we will be returning at the end. Okay, like this, return reset token, like this. Now how we are going to basically create this, we'll be making use of this crypto package. Okay, that's actually imported here, crypto require crypto. Okay, so here we have to make use of this package crypto, and I don't actually remember if we have installed it in the previous video. Let's actually see in our dependency. So we don't have it yet. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up my terminal again, and then you can just simply write npm I and then crypto. Okay, so okay, now this package is installed. I'm again going to close my terminal. Okay, so after this we have it here, okay, like this, and then we can make use of it to create a new reset password token. Okay, so on this crypto we are basically going to call a method random bytes, and we'll be basically creating a string with 32 random bytes. Okay, and to make sure this is a string, I'm just going to call this method string, and then we want its format to be hexadecimal. Okay, now after this is done, we are basically going to store this reset password token in the user's document. Okay, so let's actually create, or we have already done this. Okay, when we were defining the schema, then we have done this. So I'm just going to store the password token, reset password token that we just created into this field. Let's see how we can do that. So as you might remember, we can access the user's document here using this keyword. Okay, and we are just going to update this password reset token, and to do that, now we have a random string in the first step. After that we are going to create a hash out of it. Okay, so here I will call this method create hash. Okay, and for the algorithm we will be using SHA-256. Okay, and after that we are going to basically call this update method, and then we'll pass the random string that we generated, and then we just have to call this digest method and pass the format that we used here. Okay, hex. So let's do this, And now after this we have a hashed password reset token. Okay, so this is very secure, and now this will be stored in the user's schema. Okay, and then we are returning it from here. So this is, I think, very clear. Okay, now in our Auth.js, as you can see, we'll be getting the returned value of reset token. Okay, so after this, what we need to do, we basically want to send the reset token along with the full email, okay, to the user. So for that, we'll be basically sending an email to the user here. Okay, so let's actually create reset URL. Okay, and I'm sure you must have used this functionality in other applications. Okay, whenever we click on reset password, then there are many ways. Okay, some applications basically validate that you are the real owner of that account by sending an OTP to email or phone number. Okay, and in some applications they just send a link to the user. Okay, and when they click on that link, they are prompted with a screen where they can enter their new password along with confirm password. Okay, that's it. So here we are going to follow the second method, okay, to send the user a reset URL. So for that, let's say we have a hosted application, and if this is our domain, okay, let's say this is our domain, you can just customize it, or we are basically going to make it an environment variable. Okay, now after that, I want to basically redirect the user to this page /reset password on our client side application, and as an argument, or basically a query, here we are going to place this code. Okay, and in this code there is going to be this reset token. Okay, so we'll be basically making use of it on our front end application, okay, to make the API call for resetting the password. Now after this, we just need to send an email to the user. So again, we haven't created that functionality yet. Okay, so we'll be creating it later tonight, okay, in the second stream, so make sure you join that. So I'll just write a to do comment here, send email with reset URL. Let me also check if there are any comments in the live stream. Yeah, okay, no questions, so we can continue with this. Okay, now after this, we are just going to send an email to the user. Okay, then we'll be sending a response back. So here I'll be setting the status to 200, then we can just send a response body, okay, with some JSON data. So here I'll set the status to success. Okay, and for the message, we'll be sending this token, or basically we can say reset password link sent to email. Okay, this is going to do the job. Now in the catch case, if there is any error in, let's say, sending the email, then what we are going to do, we have to basically clear the password reset token field that we just updated. Okay, we have to reset it. And how we can do that, we just need to call this user dot password reset token. Okay, let's actually write it completely, password reset token. Okay, and then we can just set it to undefined here. Okay, and if we set any field in any MongoDB document to undefined, then that means that field will be cleared. Okay, and after this, there is one more thing, okay, that we need to take care of. Basically, we'll be basically setting this password reset expires time as well. Okay, so that we have to do here, I just remembered that. Okay, so we can do that like this dot password reset expires is equal to date dot now. Okay, and then we can add 10 minutes to it. Okay, that means after we send the email to the user will have to basically create a new password within 10 minutes or the link will expire. So we are going to basically convert 10 minutes to millisecond here. Okay, so 10 times 60 means 600 seconds or 10 minutes. Now to convert it into millisecond, we just have to multiply it by 1000. Okay, so now this is going to set the password reset expiry time. Okay, and In case there is any failure, so we are also going to reset that field, okay, in this controller. So we'll write user dot password reset expires is equal to undefined, and let me just make sure that we are using the correct field name, password reset expires, and this is correct. Okay, just this one was extra, so I've removed that. And after this we can just actually we need to call save method on users document in order to update it. Okay, so I'm going to call this save method again, and here I'll be passing a different option, okay, than before. So we'll be passing this validate before save, okay, and we'll set it to false. And the reason is because we are passing the values to be undefined, okay, and this is not a actually valid value. So we just want to remove these fields, that is why we are turning off the validator, okay. And after that is done, we'll be just sending a response back to the user with the status code of 500. That means something is wrong with our application, okay, backend application, because if the flow enters this catch block, then that means we were unable to send email, okay. So that is an error on the server's side, okay, and in that case we have to send the user response code of 500. That means it's a server's error, okay. In case if it's a user's error, okay, like they have supplied different field, okay, or wrong values to us, then we send a status code 400, okay. Now here we just need to send the response back, okay, in the JSON format. So I'll be writing status again, okay, and let's actually set the status to error. Then after this we can basically send a message to the user, okay. So we'll be just saying there was an error sending the email, okay, please try again later. So this is just going to do the job for us, okay, and now we can just format it and save it. So we are done with the forgot password, okay. Like if the user requested a new, like they requested that they want to reset their password, then we are now able to send them a link, okay. After this, when the user submits their new password along with the confirm password, okay, then we need to actually update the user's password. So that will be handled inside this reset password controller. And again, let's do it step by step. So the first step is going to be get the user based on token. Now as I explained earlier, when we are generating this token, okay, and then sending a reset link to the user, okay, then we'll be getting back this reset token in the request that will be coming for reset password, okay. So here we'll be having the token inside this request body, okay. Now we have to basically confirm that, okay, that this is created on our server and it is matching with some user. So for that we'll be basically again making use of the crypto package to create again a hashed token based on the token that we are receiving, okay. Then we'll confirm if it is like the same that we send to the user or not, okay. So let's actually again make use of this crypto package, okay, and I'm also going to just make sure that this is imported at the top. It's not right now, so let's get it here. So I'll just say const crypto is equal to require, okay, and then the name of the package crypto, like this, okay. It's better now. So we can just call create hash method here again and pass the algorithm that we want to use, SHA-256, okay, same that we basically use to create the token in the first place. Then we have to call this update method with the token that we are receiving, okay, and we'll be basically getting it as a param, okay, params. So I'll just call this request.params.token, okay. And let me also tell you that there are multiple ways through which we can basically receive data in any API call. So it can be through query or a token or basically a param, let me correct that, not token, or through body, okay. So there are multiple ways. So we'll be getting it as a param in our request, Okay, so that is why I have written request.params.token. And then the last thing that we have to do here is to call this digest, okay, and pass the hex, because we are using the hexadecimal string. Now after this is done, we are just going to find the user based on this hash token. Okay, this is the one that we stored in our database. Okay, as you can see, we created a hash, okay, and then we stored it in the user's schema. So based on this, we are going to find if there are any user with this token or not. So we'll be just calling user.findOne method, okay, like this, and then the filtering criteria here. So there will be two filtering criteria here. The first one is going to be password reset token. It should match exactly this string that will be produced here, hash token. And the second one is that the user has submitted their new password within 10 minutes of sending the email. Okay, now to confirm that, we'll be writing this condition here, password reset expires. Okay, then we'll be making use of this GT operator, that means greater than. Okay, so we are doing a comparison here, and we are basically saying here that this password reset expire time, okay, that must be greater than the current time. Okay, that means there is still some time left for the user to send their request. Okay, that means that 10-minute window is not yet expired. Okay, I hope I am very clear here. Okay, and so this is going to give us the user based on these two filtering criteria. Now there can be a case when this user value could be null or undefined, and that can be because of two reasons. The first one is when the user manipulates this token, okay, from the client side. So in that case, this hash token is not going to match with the one that is stored in our database. And the second reason can be that the user is out of the 10 minutes time window. Okay, so there can be two reasons for not finding this user, okay, in our database. So I'm just going to handle that case here. So if there is no user that is found through this query, then we'll be basically sending a response back to the user. Okay, so we'll basically write response.status 400, and here we are writing 400 because it's not something which is wrong with our server. Okay, like we are unable to send the email, then we will send the response code of 500. But in this case, it's the user's fault. Okay, like they are passing the wrong token, or they are submitting it after 10 minutes. Okay, so that is why we'll send this 400 status code. That means basically something went wrong. Okay, there is some error, and let's actually set the status to error, okay, like we always do. And for the message, we are just going to say here token is invalid or expired. Okay, like this. Now after this, if the flow enters or the control enters this line, okay, that means it doesn't go through this if statement, then that means the user has submitted the right token along with, like, in the time frame that we given to them, okay, 10 minutes. So in that case, we'll have to reset the user's password. Okay, so for that case, we'll be updating the user's password field, okay, and that will be set to whatever the user has sent to us in the request body. So we can access that like this, and similarly the user will be sending us a password confirm. Okay, and we have created this field, okay, in the user's schema. Let me check. So there is just a password, we haven't created any password confirm field. Okay, this is, you might have actually used it before. Applications ask you to, when you are resetting their password, then choose a new password, and also then they will hide the first password, and then they'll ask you to enter it again. Okay, and if that doesn't match the two password, then they won't be allowing you to basically submit the form. Okay, so that's the idea here, and the type is just going to remain the same, string. So we'll also be updating this field password confirm Okay, so request dot body dot password confirm, like this. And after this, since we have already resetted the user's password, so there is no need to actually keep this reset token that we created and also the expiry time. So like we did here, we set it to undefined and then saved the user's document. We are going to do that again. So I'm just going to basically copy these two lines. Okay, then I'll paste them here. Okay, like this. Now we are just ready to save the user's document. So I'll just call user.save. Okay, and then again you can pass few options here. Okay, in this case I'm just not going to pass any options, or you can just say new true and validate before save. Okay, you can set it to true or false, like that. Now the third step, or basically we have performed this third step. This was the second step. Okay, so let me also write a comment here. So what we are performing here is this. Okay, if token has expired, okay, or user is out of time window. Okay, like submission, we can write submission. Okay, like the user submitted the form after the time frame that we given to them. And then this is the third step, where we are basically updating the user's password and resetting the value of reset token and reset expires. Okay, so I'll write here update users password. Okay, and set reset token and expiry to undefined. Okay, now after this there is just one last step that is left here. Since we have updated the user's password, so we'll again have to log in the user. Okay, so I'll write it here first. Okay, as a comment. So we'll have to log in the user. Okay, and send new JWT. Okay, we have to send a new response. Okay, or basically a response with a new JWT token. So that is going to basically make the user signed in on our front-end application, because you must have experienced it yourself. Whenever you reset a password, then the application is basically, some of the application do this, they will kick you in. Okay, by logging you in automatically. Okay, so I'm just going to write this code here again. So we'll be again getting a new token using this sign token method, or basically function. Let me correct that. And here we have to use the user's document. Okay, from the query that we made here, as you can see. And then we'll be accessing the user's ID. Okay, this is automatically generated by MongoDB and it's a unique key. Okay, so we'll be using it to create a new sign token. Okay, then we'll be sending the user a response along with token. Okay, in the JSON response, or basically the response body. And here message is going to be a little bit different. Okay, we can just say password resetted successfully. And as a extra step, you can basically add one more thing, like sending an email. Okay, let me actually write it as a to do. Send an email to user informing about password change. Okay, this is a very basic practice that is followed in various applications. Whenever a password is resetted, then we just actually send an alert to the user on their email or their phone number that someone has updated their password. Okay, and if this is not done by you, then please contact us or so. Okay, so we are just going to send an email to user informing about password reset. I hope this is very clear. Okay, so now we are done with the reset password functionality as well. Okay, now there is one very important thing left for us to do. Okay, and let me basically see if there are any questions. Okay, and please also make sure to like the video. Okay, I'll really appreciate that. Okay, so now let's get back to this protect functionality. So what we basically want to do, like we'll be creating a route for this, okay, for each and every handler, or basically you can say functionality. Let me explain it to you like this, okay. So whenever a user wants to sign up on our application, so we'll be basically handling this sign up in multiple steps. So the first one is this register handler that we created. That means, as you might have seen in the previous video, okay, if you have watched it, we are going to collect all this information from the user, then we'll check if there is any previous user with the same record. If not, then we'll create a new user. After that, we'll send an OTP to the user on their email, okay, and then in the third step we'll be verifying it. So there are basically 3 steps for registering the user. First one, we are going to pass the control to the register handler, okay, then send OTP, and then as a third step, verify OTP, okay. So this is going to be the complete flow, okay. And just for registering, there will be a route, okay, something like this: api.talk.com/auth/register, okay. So whenever a user is going to make a request to this, okay, along with proper body and all the headers, then we'll be executing this handler, okay. That means this function is basically going to run, and we want to basically secure it. Like, this is not a protected route because anyone can go to our application and send a register request, okay. But in order to actually update a user's profile, it has to be protected. That means only the owner can do this by logging in to their profile, okay. So that is the whole idea behind this protect functionality. So there will be 2 types of routes in our application, okay. So I'll be writing here types of routes. Some are going to be protected, okay. Protected means user has to be logged in, okay. User has to be logged in, or I will basically write it here like this: only logged in users can access these, okay. And there is another type of route which is unprotected, okay, and this is just the reverse of what protected route is, okay. So now this is enough talk about it, okay. I hope I am very clear about this. Now let's actually start building this protect functionality. So as we already did in the previous controllers, we'll be doing it in multiple steps, okay. So the first thing is we'll be getting a token, okay, and this token is going to be basically the JWT token that we are sending to the user whenever we are logging in, okay. So we'll be getting this token, and then we'll be checking if it's actually there, okay. And what I mean by this, like, let's actually create a variable here, okay, with the name of token. Then as a usual practice, we'll be sending the token in the authorization header that we will be setting in the request, okay. When we'll be making the request from the client side, then we'll be setting this headers, okay, and one of those headers is going to be authorization, okay. I'll show it to you while integrating the application, okay, our front end and back end. So here we'll just check if there is any header with the name of authorization, and if there is, okay, then we are going to check if it's starting with the bearer name or not, okay. So we can just call this method starts with, okay, because this authorization is going to be a string, okay. So we'll check if that is starting with bearer, okay. And why we are checking it's starting with bearer or not, because whenever we send there are many ways to basically send a reset or JWT token, okay, or for authorization basically. Like there is a basic auth flow, okay, there is a bearer token auth flow, okay. There are multiple ways to do authorization. So the one that we are going to use is bearer token, okay. That means we'll be sending a bearer token in every protected request, okay. Now, so this condition is done. We have to just write the body here. So if these two conditions are meeting, okay, then we can just extract the token using this request dot headers dot authorization, okay. And then let me actually tell you how this authorization token is going to look like. This will be something like this. Here it will be starting with this name bearer, okay, and then after this there is going to be a random string, and this is the JWT token that we are sending to the user. So we just want to access this second part of the string, okay, so that is why I'm going to call this split method here. Then we'll be splitting it based on the white space, okay, and this is going to give us a list with all those things, okay, which are separated by some white space. And the second element, or basically we can say the one with an index of 1, is going to be our bearer token. So we have extracted it here, and if this condition doesn't met, okay, then that in that case we'll have to use this else if condition here, or basically let's just use else because there is no third condition, okay. Or basically just to make sure that I am discussing this with you, okay, there can be another way to send the JWT token, and that is through cookies, okay. So we can just check if it is not found in authorization header, then if it's present in cookies or not, okay. And if it's there in cookies, then we can just write request dot cookies dot JWT, okay. I hope this is very clear, okay. Now here we'll be just writing else. So in this case simply we won't have any token, okay. So we'll be sending a response, okay, to back to the user, but this is going to be an error response, okay, because we haven't got any token from the user. So let's set the response code to 400, and for the response body that we'll be sending, let's just set the status to error, okay, and the message to something like this. If there is no token in the request, then that simply means that the user is not logged in, okay. So we'll be talking this error, okay, we'll be communicating this error with the user in something like you are not logged in this way, okay, because they can understand it. A normal user doesn't even know if there is any JWT token or something like that, okay. So we have to send a message like this: you are not logged in, okay, please log in to get access, okay. So if a user accidentally or knowingly makes an API request to a protected route, then they are going to get an error with this message, okay. Now as a second step, we are going to basically verify if the token is correct or not, okay. So this will be verification of token, okay. And I'm also basically going to write return here, okay, so that I'm making sure that the flow exits, okay, here. And similarly when we are sending response in case of any error, okay, in other controllers, let's also do the same. So in this case reset password, okay, if there is no user, I'm again going to return from here, okay. Let me check if there is any other place where we can do this, okay, here as well in the forgot password, okay. I'm going to save it after that. And now how we are basically going to verify the token, okay. So since you can see here, when we are signing the token, we are using some secret key to basically encrypt it, and in order to decode it, we are again going to make use of JWT package, okay. And let's actually see how we can decode that, okay, because that is going to contain the user's information, so it's important for us to decode it. So I will be doing something on the right side which is going to give us the decoded JWT string. So for that we need to use this package which is called Promisify, okay. And this package Promisify is basically going to come from, as you can see, yeah, it's already imported, auto imported from this utils package, okay. And you can do the same. Now after this Promisify, okay, we can just basically pass this jwt dot verify, okay, in it, and then since this is a higher order function, we have to basically pass the arguments in the second callback, okay. So here we'll be just passing the token that we want to decrypt, okay, and along with the secret that we have used to basically encrypt it in the first place, okay. So process.env and then jwt underscore secret, okay. Make sure you don't make any typo mistake here, okay, because that is always going to give us a string which is not going to match what we send to the user, okay. Now as a third step, we'll check if user still exists, okay. And why we are doing this, because let's say a user was logged in, okay, and we sent a jwt token to them, but after that, due to some reason, like the user deleted their account, okay, and he's also logged in from some other application, okay, or we banned the user from the backend, okay. This is very common practice, and it's actually, it can happen in any application, okay. So we have to take care of this here as well, so that you can implement this in your future applications. So that is why we are going to check if there is any user, okay, with the information that we are getting from this decoded string. So we'll call it this user, okay, and here we can again make a database query on this user's model. So we'll be just calling find by id, okay. Let me tell you an interesting thing. Since we are using the user's id to basically create a jwt token, okay, so when we are decoding the jwt string, we'll be able to basically extract this user id out of it, okay. So this is very simple, okay. Now after this, let's actually use that user id from this decoded string. So I'll just call decoded dot user id, and make sure you are using the same name, okay, like the one that is used here. It has to be same, okay, otherwise it's going to fail always. So this, after this is done, we just again need to write an if condition here, like we are using this multiple times, okay. We are placing these type of checks, okay. So you must be habitual of it by now. Again, to send a response, we'll be calling this rest.status. We are setting the status code to 400 again, and then in the response body, we'll be sending this status of error, and as a message, we'll be sending this message that the user belonging to this token does not exist, okay. Or you can just simply write the user doesn't exist, okay, because the end user doesn't have to be, aware of what token is. So we can just say the user doesn't exist. Now after this, there is just one last step, okay. So we have confirmed that the user exists if the flow is reaching to this point, okay. So the last thing that we are going to do here is check if user changed their password after token was issued, okay. And let me explain a very important thing to you here, okay. So now there is a edge case in which, let's say at 10:15 a user logged into an application, okay, and after that some other user, okay, at 10:20 is resetting the password for that user, okay. Let's say both of them have access to the same email, okay, and this might happen, okay. This is a very usual practice that users tend to follow. And if some other user is basically resetting the password, then after the password is reset, then we shouldn't allow any request from the user who logged in at 10:15, okay. I hope this is clear to you, okay. So we have to place this check here, okay. And how we are basically going to implement it, let's see. We'll be using if condition here, okay, and we'll say this user dot, okay, then we'll basically be creating a method here again, okay. So we'll create a method which is going to tell us if the password was changed after we issued the token or not, okay. So let's do that. In the users schema we have to create a new method, okay, and that will be called this, let me actually check, okay, we'll be calling it changed password after, okay. And to this we are going to basically provide the timestamp, okay. This will be decoded.iat, and let me clarify what we are doing here. So if you visit JWT website, okay, then let's actually let it open. As you can see, this is a encoded JWT string like the one that we are sending to our users, and here you can see in payload there is a property with the name IAT, okay, and this is always going to be present over there, and that is basically contained in the second part, okay. As you can see, there are these parts are separated by these dots, okay, and there is this IAT. This IAT is basically the timestamp when this token was created, okay, on the backend. So we are going to make use of it to compare the time, okay, the two times, like when the user changed their password and the time when the token was issued, and this is going to, this method will return us a boolean value, okay. And if the user basically changed their password after the token was issued, then again we have to send an error response to the user, okay, when they try to access our API, okay, or make some API call basically. So in this status we'll be just setting it to error, and for the message we'll say user recently updated their password, okay, please log in again. So this means when, let's say you shared your Netflix password with your friend, okay, and now your friend has logged in, and then you, after that you have changed the password, okay. Now after the password is changed, your friend, when they try to access the Netflix, okay, then they will be again kicked back to the home page or the login page, and they will be asked to sign in again because the password is changed. So here in that case we have to make use of this logic, okay. So this is very important, okay. You might need to basically implement it in any of your future applications. So let's now create this method here on the user. So here I'll just say user schema dot methods dot this name of the method, and then again a function, and again I'll repeat that we're not going to make use of the arrow function here because arrow function don't have this keyword, okay. And now here we can basically implement the functionality. So we are getting the timestamp here, okay, and this is the timestamp when the JWT or the token that was issued, okay, that we are sending to the user. So we are just going to compare, okay, and then return a boolean value. We'll simply say timestamp, okay, how to compare if the user basically changed their password after we send them the token. So in that case this timestamp has to be greater than the time when the user basically resetted their password, okay. So we will be comparing that with this field password changed at, okay. So we can basically do it like this dot password changed at, okay. So if the timestamp is greater than this dot password changed at, okay, so this is going to give us the boolean value that we need here, okay, and that's it. We have completed this protected route as well. Now there is just one last step, we have to pass the control back to the next middleware. Okay, so for that we have to call this next function here. Okay, and before doing that we'll also be basically setting this property user on the request. Okay, so that it can be used by the next middleware. So I'm just going to write request.user is equal to this user. Okay, and I just remembered we have basically placed this condition wrongly here. It has to be inverted. Okay, this timestamp should be smaller and the password should be changed after that. Only in that case we'll be returning true. Okay, otherwise we'll have to place a not condition here. Okay, sorry for that. And after that we are basically done with all of our handlers, okay, that we need for authentication. And I know this is quite a lot to basically cover. Okay, and if you are doing it for the first time, then this might be hard for you. Okay, and don't worry, you can just watch it again. Okay, and find more about it online. And if you have any doubt, then in that case just ping me over, okay, on Discord channel. We have basically dedicated channels for doubt. Okay, you can discuss those things there. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one, okay, at 9 p.m. on the same day. Thanks for watching, and I'll ask you I'll like to request you to please make sure to like this video and also subscribe to the channel, and I would like to hear your comment. Okay, so please make sure you leave that. Again, thanks for watching. Let's end this stream here. Okay, and there is a basically question here. Okay, while resetting password, why are you using normal password like this? Yeah, let me explain it to you. Okay, we are not ending this stream here, so let's get back to the reset password. Okay, okay, so here someone has asked like, why are we setting the normal password that is given to us by the user? Okay, so the password that will be given to us by the user will be something like, let's say this one. Okay, and we are just using it here. Okay, normally we are not encrypting it. This is done intentionally. Let me explain you why. We'll be basically going to encrypt it, okay, but not in the handler function. Okay, that is not the usual practice. We'll be doing it in the pre-hook. Okay, and thanks for actually posting that. We have to encrypt it here. Okay, and let's do it. So just like we did for the OTP, as you can see in this pre-hook, we have encrypted the OTP using bcrypt. Okay, similarly we'll be doing it for the password. Okay, so whenever we discover that somebody, okay, or the user has basically altered their password, okay, then in that case we'll be encrypting it. So here I'll just update this field, okay, from this.otp to password. And for those who are not able to understand, let me tell it to you once again. Okay, so if you have watched the previous video, we have basically encrypted the user's OTP, okay, when we are storing it in the user's document. Similarly, when a user is going to reset their password, okay, or when the password is going to be created for the first time, then in that case we'll be checking, okay, if the password is modified or not. If it's not modified, then we'll just pass the control back to the next middleware. But in case it's changed or altered, then in that case we'll have to again hash this password, okay, using this bcrypt package. So we'll be doing it like this, and then after that we'll be passing the control back to the next middleware. Okay, so thanks for actually bringing that up. This was left. Okay, now we are done with all of these auth APIs. Okay, the only task that is left is to basically create a mailer service here and fill these to do. Okay, we have placed this to do here, and after that we'll be just creating a routes folder. Then we'll see how we can basically start making API requests. Okay, thanks, and let me know if there are any other questions. Okay, so let's end this here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Okay.